Sorry. Sorry about that. Edgar, you got it?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm doing good.
I noticed that water wasn't sealed.
I know I had it earlier.
Oh, I thought somebody tested it because it's kind of sea weight.
I love it.
Really? I was wondering. Can we go in early?
Really, we'd be better off if I'm not there anyway. So, I'm sure that they probably want me there. Yeah, that's right. Oh, man. That's beautiful. All right, you guys ready? Well, first and foremost, kind of recap last week. There was an awful lot of good things that went on. Rushing the ball the way we did, still like to, make a safety miss and finish as we're getting out. But, it was a great effort, especially without Tyler Jordan. I thought the guys did a really good job of getting in there. Fred moving down to guard. Obviously, Richard did a good job starting there. And Kavaris Harkless came in and really played well, too. So that was really a real positive. I think our tight ends, really for the first time, I saw them really finishing blocks and doing some things and obviously getting involved in the passing game as they have. That's something we need to continue to do moving forward. Defensively, anytime you can hold somebody to negative yards rushing and force somebody to be one-dimensional, that was pretty awesome. And I think, the beauty of the whole deal was that statistic in being, from what somebody said, like, the best, I guess, in the history of Florida football or something like that. But that being said, it's because of the unselfish nature in which the guys played. Our players of the game on defense was the whole defensive line. And because their ability to keep the guy in the pocket, which is going to be huge this week, obviously, playing Dobbs. This guy's as good as there is. He hurt us a year ago. Let's face it, they ran it down our throat a year ago. I'm sure they feel pretty good about that, and they should. We're going to have to maintain our rush lanes when they do throw it and, get him hopefully a little uncomfortable and not be able to get his feet set exactly like he wants to and yet not let him take over the game with his feet like he did against us, last year. So, we've got a great challenge and yet, they guys did their job. The back end, they challenged receivers. Obviously, some pass interferences, and yet that's going to happen. That's part of the game. But we just got to continue to be aggressive, both offensively and defensively, as we move forward. I think we did some good things and took a step in the right direction in special teams, which, was a big emphasis for us the week before. We had some guys really doing their job in an up-tempo fashion. We didn't get much of a chance on the return. They went to rugby, kicking it, kind of trying to kick it away from us, and yet I kind of look at that as a sign of respect. That's okay. I'll take that. And we did a really good job there. Eddie seemed to kick the ball pretty well, and we're going to need that this week because their special teams, is a big part of what they do. They're explosive as a return team, arguably one of the best return teams in both phases as anyone in the country. When you look at their red zone production offensively, they get down and they score, and that's what makes them successful, is they get down in there and they put touchdowns on the board offensively. Defensively, obviously with a new defensive coordinator, I've got so much respect for this guy. Bob Shoop is a guy that, I actually go all the way back to when he was at William and Mary. We played him when he was the defense coordinator at Vanderbilt and had to spend the summer as a new opponent, new staff when we were at Alabama, studying the things this guy done, and I've become a huge fan of his. And we've gone back to some of those things, gone back to Coach Spurrier's 2013 game against Vanderbilt as well, just kind of trying to see exactly what he does, and I'm a big fan of his. He comes at you with things from everywhere. It shows up because they keep you out of the end zone, and very opportunistic. They got some real weapons defensively, playing a little more man than maybe they did, zone voided stuff before. But at the same time, it's been fun, and it's been fun. I love this part of it because here's a guy you kind of studied. You dig through files, and then you wonder why you kept all this stuff. You guys probably got it at home. Like, when am I ever going to need this, right? I mean, who would have ever thought? And yet, being able to look back and then go, wow, let's pull up that William and Mary stuff that we had, back then, look up at what he did at Vanderbilt, which they did a heck of a job there. And then, obviously, what he did at Penn State and grouping it all together. That's what makes it fun. So I'm looking forward to that. Obviously, we'll be going in with a new quarterback, and that'll be fun. It's a great opportunity for Austin, Felipe, and Kyle, trying to do what they do best and help them, be successful. But more than that, the guys around them, look, that's you don't ever hear me talk about guys that are injured. In fact, sometimes I won't even mention it only until you because it's kind of out of sight, out of mind, We'll just move forward. I know they probably got to feel pretty good about themselves, and they should. They've got great players. I mean, look at what they've done recruiting. All the preseason stuff it should be. They've got everybody back, and they've won a bunch in a row. So, we'll show up and see what the Gators do. This is what makes it fun. I love playing road games. I love playing in hostile environments. It's like going to Butte, Montana and playing. There's nothing like it, going up to Kalispell and playing. You're on the road, hostile environment. It's so much fun. And I'm looking forward to our guys having that opportunity. And, kind of because of what we're doing and what we need to do in preparation, I know you guys have had a long season, when you talk about covering through two-a-days and, covering through the first three games. I think it's important to give you guys a bye and rest you up a little bit, to go on a road trip because it's been at home. But we're going to go ahead and close our practices this week. Not that I don't trust anybody in here, okay? Get me right. I trust each and every one of you, all right? But there's some things we kind of need to do, that I just appreciate that we kept to the Gators and gone from there, and nothing drastic. But obviously we have some new things that we've got to work on. And, I look at it more for you guys being able to get a little extra rest, all right? And I think that's important. Sometimes you become grumpy, okay, because you haven't had enough sleep. And you know what? I think you ought to thank me. I brought you ice cream to fatten you up a little bit. Now I'm going to give you a little bye week here, all right, to get you early to go to Tennessee. So, yeah, I never thought of that, but no, I think, I've spoiled you enough. So, but talking about injuries, right? We had a quarterback got hit, and looking at it, Kylan Johnson, he's out today. I'm thinking we'll get him back. He's got a leg. Chris Williamson had a knee, but I think it's tendonitis. Let me look over here at the go as can line. We'll try to get Callaway back a little bit. We'll see what happens. He's hurting pretty good. Tyree ran pretty good yesterday, so hopefully we'll get him back. We'll see where that fits and see what that part means. None of us have seen it yet, so But Tyler Jordan's still out. Okay, so that rotation in the O-line will stay about the same as we did last week. But I thought those guys battled their tail off and took some pride in it. So that's a good thing. And other than that, we got a big list of guys, but, they've been missing. So what the heck, next up? All right, questions?
Can you give us the official diagnosis on Luke Del Rio and a prognosis for his return?
Yeah, he got a bum leg. He should be back sometime. I don't know when it's going to be. I mean, I'm not going to rush him back. You know me. I mean, I'll never put anybody out there that's not ready to go. So we'll see. And yet, you know what? We got other guys. They'll jump in there and play. I'm excited about it. Now, I feel horrible for him, especially how it happened. And yet, you know what? That's part of the game as well. So that's just the way it goes.
Yeah, can you talk about the selection of your running backs in terms of when to put them in? It doesn't. Sometimes it feels like you're going with a hot guy. Sometimes it feels like you still want to make substitutions. And the benefits, not only at the end of the game, but at the end of the season.
Right. I go back early in coaching, and you kind of had that one guy, and you just fed him, and by game 7 they're beat to heck, trying to get them through a game, becomes hard. Probably where we really kind of got this philosophy is when I was at Alabama, and I think about when we had Eddie Lacy as our 4th team running back. That was a pretty good option. And yet we were able to mix those guys in, and come the 4th quarter, we weared on people, wore people down. Excuse me, weared, that's not a word, is that right? That's really bad. Mom's the English teacher. Jeez, that's not good. Wait till I hear about that. But anyway, wearing them down a little bit was something that I like. Rotation, we have kind of a set way of going, and then we kind of look at it in the 4th, Pat, and kind of go from there a little bit. I think every guy's kind of done some things pretty good. Kind of an unsung guy to be, we talk about the 4 guys, but Mark Herndon's done a heck of a job in our split back stuff as well. Obviously not as much production, running it, but really unselfishly has helped that be a pretty decent package for us. So allowing us to get a couple running backs on the field at the same time. And it'll continue.
I don't have the exact number of RPOs, but it seemed like you guys kind of made a concerted effort to work on the run Saturday. Or is that just because they were running?
No, here's interesting, and I think when you look, and I'll go back even now to talk about, Bob Shoop and what they do defensively. I think more and more now you're seeing teams play a little more man-free coverage to get up and take, the zone opportunities away, especially when you're running field wheels and fire zones and plugs and all that stuff. And I think he's gone to that a little bit. So I think in some ways we had them called. They did a great job on one of them. They started off, Luke looked back, he went to spit it out, and they'd actually come up and taken it away. So, but I think some of that, by coverage now, teams are not maybe doing as much voided coverage, to take some of the crease throws away. So, but no, we had as many called as we had the week before.
How's Austin progressed in his knowledge of the offense?
No, he's been great, and from the get-go since he's been here, I think him being here as early as he was great. He's got the guy's he's played. He's been in games. He knows how to prepare. He does some things differently, so we're going to have to, highlight some of those things. And at the same time, we've got to make sure that Felipe and Kyle are ready as well. So, but that's what makes it fun.
And you seem pleased with the offensive line? I mean,
Yeah, they did, you know what, they did a pretty good job. I think we need to make guys miss. You know, we're blocking it to the safety at times. We missed some cuts, you know, and yet, you know, that's just continuous playing, and, you know, they did all right. I mean, they played hard now.
so Antonio's still kind of questionable based on what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, didn't I say that?
No, I just want to confirm because
Yeah, I don't know whether he'll play or not. I mean,
Okay.
the guy's got to be able to go, and I'm going to go back, and I hate to keep repeating myself. I will never play a guy that's not ready to play. That's just not fair to that person. That's how much I care about our players. I'm not going to put a guy out there on half a leg. Life is too short, and there's other people that'll step up and play. So, look, that's just not my gig. I'm not going to do that to somebody's son.
Question in the back.
Coach, when guys start to get injured, how do you keep this team focused and positive when you're bitten by the injury bug, it seems like?
I don't think we're ever bitten by an injury bug. It's the game. And I look at it as the opportunity bug, right? There's an opportunity now for someone to come in and play. And that's what makes it fun. That's why you have a team. You know, I'm just not a guy to get caught up in that stuff. And look, last thing I got enough stuff to worry about. Let's go get the guys ready to play that are going to be there and walk off the bus and see what we do.
Robbie?
Trying to stop Dobbs with his feet. Last year was a lot of poor tackling, maybe that led to some of that. And
You know that, and to be honest, we had guys trying to do too much, and not as an excuse. This guy's a good player, so he makes you look bad, and you know he's a great player, and we never stopped him an ounce last year, and so, you know, I'm sure in their minds, you know, this is a walk in the park for them, and probably should think that based on, you know, how we performed against them a year ago. You know, we'll see. I mean, that's really what makes him tick. Is he's a great player, and I go back to their production. They're putting the ball in the end zone. That's what's helping them win games.
and Martez Avi, why did he get ejected from the game?
It's a personal foul call, I guess. I mean, you watched it, right? Wasn't that it? So, yeah. I mean, that's the rule. So,
I thought the rule was like fighting, taking a swing or something. Yeah, too.
It's whatever the rule is, he was disqualified, so.
Jim, you mentioned that Austin obviously has a different skill set than Luke, and you have to do some things differently. But what do you like most about Austin's game?
You know, his maturity, his love of the game, how he's really invested in his teammates, but more than that, the preparation piece that he's put in, even when he wasn't named the starter. So, I mean, this ought to be fun for him. And he's been in Big Ten stadiums. Now he gets to go to a real fun place to play in the SEC. So, like I said, I mean, these, I can't, the reason you come to Florida is to play in games like that. And, you know, it's another CBS national game. So, you know what? Everybody can see what the heck you're doing. And I don't know. I think that's pretty cool. Right?
And do you have a read on Franks or Trask, who would be the backup there?
Yeah, we'll work through that this week and figure out what gives us the best chance at that position to be successful.
Yeah, can you just talk about the building of this defense, you know, kind of the anatomy of it, and
Yeah.
getting the right guys in the right spot, and obviously players that were left over, the players that you've added, just how that's worked out?
You got to give credit to what Will and his staff did, putting and assembling the type of players that are there. And then obviously a lot of those guys are making plays. And what has happened is those guys have been great teachers of the newer faces, you know, I mean, what did we play last week? 20-some new guys or something, whatever it was. I think what they've done is instilled a mindset, and that's been great. You know, our defensive staff, you know, weren't reinventing the wheel. I think when we put that together, we knew that that's something that was successful, so there's not a big reason to, you know, change, but rather just keep going. And what I like is how hard they're playing, but more than that, how disciplined and how well they're playing together. It's just great to see.
When you were considering quarterbacks to bring in this offseason, what stood out about Austin, and how many guys did you look at overall that he was the best choice out of that bunch?
Well, you know, it wasn't one of those things that it kind of approached us, and we had the number, and I think it was a good situation for us, knowing that, you know, really we had no proven commodity there at all. So, you know, our goal was to get 4 quality guys on scholarship, and I think we did that.
And then with Luke, do you feel you got good news, just given what the possibilities could have been with the way that hit went?
You know, I don't look at it as good news at all, because it's still, you know, wasn't right. But, I mean, as good a news as it is, you know, he didn't have to go under the knife yet, so that to me is a positive.
Protecting or defending players is nothing new for you, but you may have taken it to an all-time high, at least in Gainesville Saturday night.
Is that right?
It seems like it. And the reaction from your players has been pretty much off the charts. I'm just wondering what kind of reaction do you get around the team after something like that? I mean, they give you a standing ovation when you walked in this morning, or?
Here's the one thing, guys. Our team knows me. I mean, I'm pretty transparent. They know how much I care. They know how much I want them to be successful, not just as a player, but successful when this football thing's over. And, you know, I'm there for them. I'm a passionate guy, and probably a guy that you know, not a lot of fun to cross. Does that make sense? But anytime I can, you know, I'm there for them. And how they responded, I don't know. You know, I mean, that's who I am. So.
How does that serve you in the broad scheme of building a program and getting guys?
You know, time will tell. You know, some guys struggle with my sarcasm anyway, so they ain't coming. And, you know, I ain't really good at rubbing guys' bellies, so they probably won't come. I think when you look at track record of guys who played for me in the past, they all know that I'm a phone call away to help them in anything that they ever need. And to me, that's what life's all about.
Jim, what do you remember about this Florida-Tennessee rivalry through the 90s, and just how big it was, and how nice is it to have it kind of hyped up again with College game day coming and everything?
No, like I said, I mean, that's why you come to Florida. And here's the great thing about the University of Florida. You got a bunch of these, right? And, you know, look, I've been at places where you had to make one up, right, just to think it was a rivalry. And even though it really wasn't, because the other team had a rival, right? Yeah. So I just, when you look at these games that we play, I mean, that's fun, man. And you go out and let it loose and have fun with it. Enjoy the environment, enjoy the atmosphere, enjoy the attention. Because I've also been at those places where no one cared. So, that isn't fair. A couple people do. But I just think it's a lot of fun. So
And it has no bearing on Saturday night, but just what was it like going through this game last year, the way it played out, and maybe what it did for your team to win the game the way they did?
Here's the one thing I think a year ago proved to that football team, meaning the Florida Gator team, is just go win the next play. Don't worry about anything. And I thought they kept their head down and just played. And I think we kind of proved to ourselves a little bit of what we were trying to accomplish is, look, just go do your job. Play this one, and then the next play, and don't get caught up in it. And I think we did a good job of that.
Somebody was calling you there.
You talk about a multitasker. I mean, this guy can take videos, take calls.
I couldn't take it.
I mean,
Be awkward to talk this way. So is the ambassador of football going with you guys on the road for your first road trip? Spurrier?
oh, I don't know. He thought so much about us, he went to the Oklahoma-Ohio State game to, be with his son and his grandchildren, which I think is outstanding. But I sure enjoy visiting with him. He might have a golf game. I don't know. I don't know that we can disrupt that Saturday routine. So
you did, that wasn't a plan to take him on road trips?
no, I mean, if he wants to go, he's more than welcome.
Okay.
So.
And based on what you're saying from watching the film of the hit on Luke, confirm your feelings about what occurred on that play.
I don't know, you guys saw it. Thanks.
Thanks.
What's that? Oh, I know, you got another starter. Yeah, she went down. I told her, you got to be proud of what you put on film.
Camera's good in the back.
Oh, man.
Open it up for questions. Start with Mark on the right.
Yeah, Jared, Coach talked about Joshua Dobbs and the success he had running the football last year against you guys, and talked about this year, though, you guys seem more disciplined. I mean, that's kind of where it's at with you guys, that you've got to take a more disciplined approach. Can you talk about him and the challenges he brings with the run game?
I mean, Josh Dobbs is definitely a dual threat quarterback, we know, and he does it